Lesson number 10 for Thursday, March 9th. Spiritual Legacy. Though it's hard to know what life would have been like on earth had humans not sinned, one thing we can know for sure. There would have been no hoarding, no greed, no poverty. Things that have plagued our world since recorded history. Our sense of ownership of what we have worked for, and if we did it honestly, is rightfully ours, is nevertheless a manifestation of life in a fallen world. In the end, however, regardless of how much we do or do not own, there's one important point that we should always remember. Read the following text. What is the central point in them all, and how should that point impact what we do with whatever material means God has blessed us with? Psalm 24:1 says, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it. The world and all its people belong to Him." Next is Colossians 1:15-17 says, "Christ is the visible image of the invisible God. He existed before God made anything at all, and is supreme over all creatures. Christ is the one through whom God created everything in heaven and earth. He made the things we can see and the things we can't see, kings, kingdoms, rulers, and authorities. Everything has been created through Him and for Him. He existed before everything else began, and He holds all creation together." We are stewards and managers of what God has entrusted to us. That is, He ultimately owns it all. And He is the one who gives us life, existence, and the strength to have anything at all. It is only logical, then, that when we are finished with what God has given us and have taken care of our family, we should return the rest to Him. Counsels on Stewardship, page 342 says, "In giving to the work of God, you are laying up for yourselves treasures in heaven. All that you lay up above is secure from disaster and loss, and is increasing to an eternal and enduring substance, and will be registered to your account in the kingdom of heaven." There are many advantages to giving now while we live. Here are a few. Number 1, the donor actually can see the results of the gift: a new church building, a young person in college, an evangelistic campaign funded, and so on. The ministry or person can benefit now when the need is greatest. There is no fighting among family or friends after your death. Number 4, it sets a good example of family values of generosity and love for others. Number 5, it minimizes estate tax consequence. 6, it guarantees that the gift will be made to your desired entity. No interference from courts or disgruntled relatives. Number 7, it demonstrates that the heart of the donor has been changed from selfish to unselfish. And number 8, it stores up treasures in heaven. From Testimonies for the Church, Volume 5, page 155, it says, "It will not do for you to depend on making your charity gifts in testamentary bequests at death. You cannot calculate with the least degree of surety that the cost will ever be benefited by them. Satan works with acute skill to stir up the relatives, and every false position is taken to gain to the world that which was solemnly dedicated to the cause of God. Much less than the sum willed is always received. Satan even puts it into the hearts of men and women to protest against their relatives doing what they wish in the bestowment of their property. They seem to regard everything given to the Lord as robbing the relatives of the deceased. Testimonies for the Church, Volume 3, page 399, it says, "Many are making a great mistake in regard to the things of this life. They economize, withholding from themselves and others the good they might receive from a right use of the means which God has lent them, and become selfish and avaricious. They neglect their spiritual interests and become dwarfs in religious growth, all for the sake of accumulating wealth, which they cannot use. They leave their property to their children, and 9 times out of 10, it is even a greater curse to their heirs than it has been to themselves. Children, relying upon the property of their parents, often fail to make a success of this life, and generally utterly fail to secure the life to come. The very best legacy which parents can leave their children is a knowledge of useful labor and an example of a life characterized by disinterested benevolence. By such a life, they show the true value of money, that it is only to be appreciated for the good that it will accomplish in relieving their own wants and the necessities of others, and in advancing the cause of God. Have a blessed day.